When talking about business reputation, what we're really looking at is what do stakeholders think of us? What is the first thing that comes to mind? Do they have positive opinions of us? Do they have negative opinions to us? How do our behaviors influence those opinions? How does the news that happens about us influence those opinions? Do we currently have lawsuits or various other things? So we have multiple organizations that measure rankings. So we have, of course, this Rating Research, which is a British company, distributes the index. They have a measurement tool that looks at a social reputation. Each of these tools measures different things, such as philanthropy, which is financial giving to organizations, to social goods. It would also be about if they have any negative lawsuits, what kind of injuries they've had, how they treat their employees, and various other questions. Some companies, you might have heard a lot of different things about negative reputations. One example is Nestle. Nestle often has a very negative reputation through a variety of their business practices. One is that they often take public water from streams and lakes and bottle it and sell it and make a profit from it. Well, this is one of those things where it's like, if it's public water, why should Nestle as a corporation be taking it out of the streams, bottling it, and selling it, and being the ones to reap the profit? There have also been some controversies about where they've been granted access to public water by states, and where they've taken 3 times the amount of which their contract was for. So there's a lot of different controversies. Of course, Nestle also makes a lot of chocolate products, and there's a lot of controversy within the chocolate industry. And we'll talk more about water and chocolate industries further on in the semester. Okay. Then there are different kind of social businesses. So, of course, we've talked about B corporations. We can also have businesses that are created just for social benefit rather than economic value. And these can be different nonprofit organizations, and some businesses might not refer to themselves as nonprofit organizations. They might specifically say, we're social entrepreneurship. Locally, there is a company in Waterloo, in downtown Waterloo, called TriPie. They consider themselves social entrepreneurs. So they saw a social need, and they use their entrepreneur skills to address this need. So what TriPie is a bakery. It is a bakery in downtown Waterloo. They also sell their goods through various retailers. They have a delivery service in Cedar Falls and Waterloo. They have a food truck. You can go to their physical location and buy pies. You can order online. There's a variety of ways. They make pies, and they have a coffee shop. So what the social entrepreneurship part of that is that this organization is run by the people who make the pies, the people who do all of the bookkeeping and everything, are high school girls. And this organization was started in downtown Waterloo. They get high school girls from Waterloo and Cedar Falls. They have application requirements of certain socioeconomical standing, lack of education opportunities, different things like that. They apply and they get into this program. As part of this program, they work at the bakery. In addition to working at the bakery, they take classes in how to start a business, how to run a business, how to do accounting for a business, budgeting, retirement savings, 401ks. Every single one of these high school students gets a scholarship fund and a retirement fund. They learn about investing. They get a mentor within the community, a business mentor. And they do all of the bookkeeping, all of the business management, the marketing. And so this is a social entrepreneurship in that it is helping girls to realize that they can start businesses, they can run businesses, they can sell their skills, and giving them entrepreneurial experience. Okay, B corporations we talked about last week. So B corporations are corporations that are for profit, but they have a social benefit. So there's a social objective that they have, but they're also trying to make a profit. These are different than nonprofit organizations, which have a social component, but have no goals of making profit. Their funding is specifically for the social benefit. As we talked also, these stages of corporate citizenship are generally about how corporations and businesses get involved. And so we have 5 different stages. The first stage of corporate citizenship really just involves legal compliance. I'm following the laws and only the laws. Okay? I'm not doing anything extra. I only do compliance. I'm defensive when people ask me questions about social goals, environmental goals. Okay? And then we can move up into stage 2 is I'm interested in environmental protection. I give money to different organizations, so I participate in philanthropy. I create transparency by releasing press releases anytime that I donate to an organization. So I want people to see that I'm making a step towards it. Of course, as we move up, we see in stage 4 that we're fully into sustainability. We're using the triple bottom line to measure our actives. We're proactive. It's a strategic plan. And then to not only are we being sustainable, but we're encouraging others. We're trying to innovate. We're coming up with new ways to be sustainable all of the time. And we're doing full disclosure. We have public information out about our initiatives, about where our money goes, about what's important to us. And then you'll see corporations so like I encourage you to go to Patagonia's website and look at their website and see all of their initiatives, what's important to them, and then go to another retailer's website and see if you can determine, are they at the same stage as Patagonia for transparency, disclosure, being involved in this corporate citizenship, or would you say they're more at a 1 or 2 stage where yes, they might donate to an organization or 2, but they really aren't sharing any information that they really care about being considered this socially responsible corporate citizen. Okay, social reporting. So I know one of the activities that you were asked to do during the first week was to go out to a company's website and see what kind of reporting they do. What are they putting out a report about their financial, social, and environmental activities? Sometimes this is called a CSR report. Sometimes it's called an ESG report. Sometimes it's just part of their annual report. So this legally required financial information with social and environmental information, that's when it's integrated into their regular annual fiscal reporting. But really, what information are they putting out into the public? Okay, most of the large publicly traded corporations share this information. This, like I said, really started becoming a trend in the early 2000s, about 2003, 2004. We started to really see companies reporting about this, companies becoming more transparent. As I said, that was driven by consumer interest. Consumers wanted to see this information. Consumers were more interested in doing business with companies that they could prove were socially responsible than companies that were not. Companies self-reporting also helps them get information out there. This is not stuff that always gets, the bad things that companies do almost always gets reported in the news. But the good things that they're doing or the different activities that they're trying to do don't always get reported in the news. Globalization. So globalization, that term really talks about worldwide business. With the advent of the internet and different technologies, we have become a more globalized world. People can work remotely from any location. We can order goods and services from any location. I can go online and order from most locations. It kind of depends. Some locations aren't shipping to the United States right now because of various tariff laws and regulations that have recently passed. Hopefully that's a quickly resolved thing and those countries start shipping to the U.S. again. But of course, current events also really impact globalization. So this chapter is really talking about how do companies get into the global marketplace? How do you decide to all of a sudden open a section or a location of your business in another country? And what would really drive that? So why would a company decide to do that or decide against it? Okay. Really, we have the increasing movement of goods, services, and capital across national borders. Okay, one of the reasons globalization has become popular is really about access to products. For example, one of the things that we talk about in supply chain is that there is nowhere in the United States in which the weather conditions work well enough to grow either chocolate or coffee. We do not have the agricultural ability to grow either one of those products. So the only way we get chocolate and coffee into the United States is to purchase it from other countries. And so sometimes there are, especially agricultural products, that aren't available in certain locations because of their climate, their weather, their soil, different things like that. That's one of the first goods and services. Or if you've taken a world civilization class or a really far back history class, you might have learned about the West Indies Trading Group, or how Columbus discovered, I think where he landed was actually Cuba, but really how Columbus ran into the mass that became North America. And that was that he was convinced that there were different routes. The route to the West Indies was fraught with peril. In the 1400s, a lot of people were trying to get there to trade spices and goods to bring back to the European area. And he convinced Spain that if they bankrolled him that he could find a better route by going. Well, what he found actually was that there was a giant landmass in the way, and he discovered a landmass that they didn't realize existed at that point in time with the science and technology that they had. So we'll continue talking about globalization in our next video.